Greetings! I'm going to tell you a little bit about creating a tint chart. I have 4 different reds that I work with: cadmium red light, cadmium red, permanent alizarin crimson, and quinacridone rose. And I'm about to do a painting of some wild roses. I wanted to know exactly what I had in my toolbox in terms of reds. So I'm creating a tint chart. Already I've done the cadmium red light and the cadmium red, and I'm working on the alizarin crimson now. One thing I'm realizing is that there's a really nice warm tint here in the lightest value of the cadmium red light that's really not nearly as orange as the dark. And that's important information. When it comes to the cadmium red, it's very blue compared to the other. As far as the alizarin crimson goes, you can see this is a very beautiful transparent color. That's important too if I wanted to play with thick and thin colors and letting some of them glow with that transparent paint. So I'll show you when I'm finished. But this is an important tool that I can then use for my wild rose painting. I'll check back in when I'm done. When I'm mixing these different tints, I like to think in terms of 2 darks and 2 lights. And this is how I can help myself delineate between light and shadow when I'm painting. I also prefer to use a palette knife. You can have lots of different shapes. But it really helps me to keep the colors clean that way. Okay, I've finished now with my color tint chart. I have the quinacridone red or rose, which it turns out is pretty much like bubble gum. It's a classic bubblegum pink color, also very transparent. And this is good because I'm really not familiar with working with this color. And this helps me a lot. I also realize how strong it is and how little you need. Now just a word on these light tints, especially that bottom layer. I like to keep it as light as I can, still being able to see the hue that I'm mixing in. If it's too white, you just sort of lose it. So I just bring it down just to where my eyes are registering it as a separate hue from the one next door. Again, very useful, and now I get to have some fun and start with the flowers. Wild roses that I took last summer in our glorious wildflower season, and I will check back in when that's done. Welcome back. I've finished my wild rose painting using my color chart that I did using my different reds. It definitely came in handy, and I was happy I did it ahead of time. As you can see, I used that cadmium red light here with white very purely to capture that light color of the sun hitting a pretty horizontal plane with the rose facing up to the sky. As the rose turned, it gathered colors from the surroundings, but also became more blue. And so I used a lot more of the alizarin crimson here than I did. And in some of the rosebuds, they were a little more earth toned, so I enjoyed using that cad red mixed with the green. And of course, playing with cast shadow, reflected light, direct light. Definitely a lot to play with in this particular painting. So I'll sign off for now and recommend highly that you do this before you start a painting if you're using new colors or even a variety of the one hue being red. You can actually get a lot more life into your painting with variety of reds.